As you might expect, we'll be making forward-looking statements about our business and financial performance during the course of this presentation. Those statements are subject to risks and uncertainties that are described in our filings with the SEC. Please refer to the full text of the forward-looking statement slide for further information. We ask that you refrain from audio or video recording or rebroadcasting any of the content. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Hello, I'm Jane Wong, VP of Security Products, and I'm excited to welcome you to our Securities Super Session. As you heard in the keynote, teams are challenged by the exponential growth in data, the fragmentation of data across systems, and evolving data security, privacy, and compliance regulations. To hear more, let's listen to Splunk CISO Pamela Fusco as she sits down for a chat with Kevin Mandia, CEO of Mandiant, and Splunk CEO Doug Merritt.
Thank you for joining us. I am Pamela Fusco, Splunk's Chief Information Security Officer. I'm joined here with two esteemed guests. First, Doug Merritt, CEO of Splunk. Secondly, Kevin Mandia, CEO of Mandiant. Thank you for joining us, gentlemen.
Pam, thank you for having me.
Always happy to see you, Pam.
So I'd like to begin this conversation with both of you, leveraging Splunk's 2021 State of Security Report. In the security report, it outlines some perspectives of how organizations are feeling ever since the most recent SolarWinds activity was brought on. Kevin, your company, Mandiant, was the first to discover the activity for SolarWinds. So from your perspective, what do you feel is the greatest landscape threat right now, and how did SolarWinds kind of position us today to move forward?
Yeah, I'll focus on the implant threat because right now there is no magic wand you can wave and, hey, we found an implant. All organizations rely on other organizations' software to function and deliver their business functions. So we're all going to download the next update and we're going to trust that it's secure. And it's absolutely unreasonable that all of us actively test and do source code review and do vulnerability assessments of all the software we use all the time. It's just, I can tell you, even as a company, we looked at our suppliers and we had hundreds of suppliers that we depend on to run our business. So we recognize that trying to find an implant really is like finding the needle in the haystack. So we got to rely on community defense. We have to rely on things like the executive order that says that if you're doing business with the federal government, you have to do vulnerability scanning of your software.
That is so essential too, Kevin. You really nail it with the community effort. So with that said, to Doug, CEO of Splunk, my boss, from your perspective as CEO, what is the most essential proactive approach to cyber security?
Yeah, it's interesting. As Kevin just talked about, there are so many different attack surfaces now and so many different approaches that these extraordinarily well-funded adversaries are pursuing. And it's changing all the time. The key is the cooperation, which we talked about, and then hyper vigilance and diligence on looking at data. And this is really not trying to be self-serving for Splunk, who obviously gathers insane amounts of systems data. But the way that we eventually can find most of these things is there are aberrations and patterns. And the good and bad is every single thing that is on a network, wireless or wired network, is very, very chatty at this point in time. I think all of us have experienced. This is a board level topic. It's an investor level topic. It's something that we've got to be diligent on every single day. And it's part of the reason why I'm so thankful you are here at Splunk, Pam. We need really, really talented folks on top of this on a 24/7 basis.
Excellent. And again, it goes back to that whole sense of community. And looking at the areas of, remote workforce, we all know that that's probably not going to vanish anytime in the near future. So there's a perspective of emerging threats, unearthed events, a larger landscape. So just Kevin, quickly, I'd like to ask, what do you believe are some of the key lessons learned from these recent breaches? And what should we be doing moving forward, aside from, the sense of community and sharing collectively?
Well, I can tell you, just building on some of the things Doug said, just look at the SolarWinds implant. You can go back, people were infected with this thing in March of 2020, and nobody really hears about it till December 13th of 2020. So what happened for 9 months? Well, here's what happened. Nobody had all the signals in one place. you'll hear a firewall company say, hey, we knew about that back in April or May. Well, if you did, why didn't you say something? And the reason was they didn't have a full view of the whole battle space. What they had was a network-based event or network-based alert. And then another source said, hey, we saw the DNS lookups and they were bizarre. What we didn't have was a comprehensive, all data in one place, all the signals that are relevant from network devices, from appliances, from your security endpoint software. It all needs to be together because you need it in aggregate to make thoughtful conclusions. Implants are hard to find if you're only looking at part of the signal. And SolarWinds is proof of what Doug said. You need a single view of the battle space. You need a platform like Splunk where you can get all the data in one place because somebody really might have detected it. But by itself, that signal was a wisp of smoke and you didn't put out the fire or even identify the source of the fire. So I think one of the lessons we learned with the SolarWinds implant is you really do need to have your signals in one place because you have to work a hell of a lot faster than just, hey, let's look at this software. Now let's go to this one, because most operators don't have the time to aggregate on their own. They don't have the time to do the analytics. They don't have the time to minimize through the billions of events that are occurring. So we just had a gap in visibility because of that lack of the totality of circumstances in a single pane of glass.
And that's an excellent point, the lack of visibility. Just hearing more about what we're doing in the very near future between this partnership with Mandiant and with Splunk and how powerful that's going to be to so many of us out there that need it. Can you touch on maybe a few highlights with that, Doug, please?
Yeah, absolutely. We're so excited about this partnership and building on what Kevin's saying, that eventually at some point in time, having some type of an abstraction layer that's able to tie together all these different data points, it's something that we're certainly working on within Splunk. But being close to a group like Mandiant, who is visiting hundreds, thousands of customers and is able to look at what are the different signals that we're seeing across this large community of different customers, I think is key. So really excited about the way that we are baking in a lot of the intelligence, knowledge, and human capability that Mandiant brings directly into Splunk offerings. It's a really exciting set of new capabilities that is helping all of you out there get better visibility on how thorough are you right now on your security landscape based on all the collective wisdom that Mandiant has collected and continues to update on a consistent basis. And then what should you be doing to up your game? And with Mandiant as the human glue, that constant iteration loop of updates and more refined intelligence and actions, I think we're going to see a nice flywheel on how do we detect a SolarWinds type thing much more quickly than the 9 months that Kevin was talking about.
Excellent. Hey, Kevin, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Of course. I mean, every security operations center wants a heads-up display, and that's what Splunk can provide. And what we want to do, and this is what Mandiant's really in the business of doing, is helping all of us close our security gap. We do believe in the premise security breaches are inevitable. We're just playing defense, period. And even the worst hockey players, if given enough shots on goal, put the puck in the net. So we've got to make sure we close the security gap. And that's why we want to work with Splunk. They've got the data. They have great customers. And we're out on the front lines. And every time we see something, we want to make sure that all that is available and visible to Splunk customers. So we'll have an app in Splunk where you can see and know what we know when we know it. And I call that, from my Air Force days, the heads up cockpit, the heads up display. So we're constantly taking the amount of time it takes for you to identify, hey, this thing's bad. We're going to try to bring that to zero, period. I'm really excited about, for all our Splunk customers, that we have Mandiant validation. The top question I get in the boardroom really comes down to board directors and even CEOs saying, how good are we at security? Well, let's test it by shooting real bullets, looking at our Splunk terminal and seeing how are we doing. If you didn't stop it and you didn't detect it, how do you fine tune Splunk and fine tune your controls to make sure you do stop or detect the next breach? And that's what Mandiant validation working with Splunk is going to bring you, is the ability to just answer the question, how good are we? If you can stop all the breaches Mandiant's aware of, you're pretty much stopping all the breaches. And I don't think you can bring the risk down to zero, but at least you've taken every step you really can take to defend your networks at that point.
100%. So I'm just going to throw this out there. Not being competitive, but go Navy and Bravo Zulu, Commandian and their support from my Navy days, Commandian and our relationship with Splunk. But there's a very key element of this, right? And we've talked very much about our relationship and what needs to go to the board and what we found and what we will find in the future from this synergy that we have together. One thing I'd like to ask is, what can we now do with all this data and information we're getting? There's another SolarWinds, we all know something's going to happen down the road and we're in front of it. But what do we do after? Is that something, Doug, that you feel like there's a powerful play, some consortium that exists or one that needs to exist outside of the boardroom?
One is the human aspect of what are we doing from our White House, but other federal and governmental entities down to make sure we collaborate much more effectively and continue to blur those lines between public and private and every industry, even with your fiercest competitor in financial services or retail. We've got a shared interest in making sure that we continue to protect our customers, our data, and keep our way of life moving forward. So I think there's a lot of human aspect there, but part of what I'm excited about with this relationship with Mandiant and part of what we, I think, are all working toward as an industry is the systems have got to do a better and better job. As we learn something, how do we bake it into the systems in the form of machine learning or other, eventually AI, but in the form of a repeatable and scalable process so that we are talking that if you didn't happen to be at the right place at the right time to get that piece of information, the technology you're using has taken that into consideration and is improving. It's one of the ironies of some of the negative talk out there on data tools like Splunk of, hey, you've got to minimize data. You don't want all that data. It's like, no, you want all the data. I mean, the reality is there is more data being produced every single day. We want all that data. It is the keys to the kingdom to actually be able to find those needles in the haystack and get better informed and more prepared and more proactive. Partnering with groups like Mandiant, you guys are doing a great job of boiling down those nuggets so that we're more thoughtful in which data elements are we going to pay attention to at this moment in time so that we can improve our game on an iterative and consistent basis going forward.
It puts a whole new perspective on point in time, right? Is there anything, Kevin, you'd like to add to that paradigm of, the collaborative future and what we can take from what we're learning and what's yet to come?
Well, Doug's 100% right. It has to be at machine speed. And that's why I love the partnership, Doug, because with Mandiant, our Mandiant Advantage, it's everything we know right as we know it. So if we're finding trace evidence of another implant from APT 29, all the Mandiant Advantage customers with their right inside of their Splunk terminal are going to know what we know. They're going to know the indicators and warnings. They're going to get a whole dossier on what they're dealing with. That's at machine speed. And what's interesting is when you think about implants, there's always stage one, you downloaded the implant. And then stage two, there's a human threat actor doing something. But there's a gap in between, and you will detect and respond before you become a stage two victim. And that's winning. And then in regards to data, Doug's exactly right. For the companies that want to have world-class security, you're always hunting to create your own intelligence. And the only way you do that is you do have the data to make sure you've detected what's new. And nobody's ever said, geez, I've just got too much data. They do if they don't know how to handle it, search it, manipulate it, and analyze it. That's a different problem. But when it comes to security operations, you've never just said, wow, I'm so glad we have no data at our disposal. You really want to have every single little signal. And yeah, you may not pay attention to 98% of it, but the only way you'll find what's emerging and new, if you want to do so independently on your networks, is to have inside the cockpit a lot of different signals that you can review.
Interesting thing I've heard you say in the past, Kevin, is your team, as you're running those aggressive attack type scenarios that we all are so thankful for, are generally able to bypass almost every type of security.
Right.
You got a super effective group of folks that know what they're doing. Again, it's not can you get in or not. It's how quickly can you detect that someone got in, and can you detect what they're actually doing, which is it's just that interesting juxtaposition of we don't really want to minimize the data. We want to make better use of data, knowing that it's an unfair fight. And I love what you were saying earlier about how do we stop blaming companies all the time? If,
Right.
these adversaries are throwing rocks through windows that are well censored, that they don't feel any fear of blatant, brazen daylight attacks through every potential surface. It's an unfair battle right now. Other than you can see and respond as long as you've got the right tools, and we all work together then to get better and better at understanding what the next approach might be.
You know, in cyberspace, Doug, the amazing thing is that Ocean's 11 type of breach can happen all the time. You know, I always say it's not just the rocks through the windows. It's the Navy SEALs parachuting in, landing on your roof, and coming through the unguarded entities. If you're in an industry like the defense industrial base, the financial services, utilities that need to withstand the next modern warfare, you really do need to be able to observe weak signals, because it'll be the aggregate of weak signals that help you realize, hey, we've got a problem right now. You may want to detect it with humans, but even better, like you said before, Doug, let's have a learning system. Let's start aggregating the weak system signals and recognizing those activities ahead of time and building it into the product so that our analysts don't have to peruse terabytes of data. The system has learned, it can think, and it's seeing and aggregating the weak signals and saying, hey, guess what? The upper 1% of the intrusion set is after you right now.
And Kevin, that is so critical. If we look back, right, no one really paid attention to the lows, the mediums, the little pings and the dings, walking the port, right? And truly, those are the precursors to something more prevalent in the future. The power that we have together with machine learning and intelligence between two powerful organizations and other feeders inside. At least we have, the confidence to march forward and say, we have facts, we have knowledge, and we are confident that we can continue to do this and morph it over and over and over. Any closing comments? Because it's been a true pleasure spending time with you both. I truly appreciate it.
Kevin, I'll give you the shot at this. You are the true expert.
Well, I can tell you, working with Splunk, we're going to close the security gap to as narrow as possible. Let's just make this a heck of a lot harder for the adversary.
Love it. That's wonderful. So real-time detection, execution of investigation and response are at the top of our mind for all of our clients today, right? I think on both sides here and many others out there. Time, of course, is of the essence, even more so than it's ever been. We're thrilled to join these forces with Mandiant and Splunk together. And as Kevin just said, we're powerful for the near future to potentially get ahead of it and make them run for it a little bit. So thank you again, and off to James.
Thanks, Pam, and a special thanks to Kevin and Doug as well. Truly awesome discussion. So you just heard that detection, investigation, and response times are too slow. We've heard your biggest hurdles to moving faster are lack of visibility, especially across cloud. This is crucial to detection. Too many alerts and manual tasks, and too many disparate tools. Splunk's here to help, and we have some great updates to share with you today. Let's break these down and explore how Splunk helps you solve these challenges. First up, let's dive into how better visibility can drive better detection. Many of you are moving to the cloud, but this increases complexity. Cloud environments introduce new attack surfaces, such as new data streams, workloads, applications, and services to manage and secure. And these drive increased risks and vulnerabilities. These challenges were exacerbated during the pandemic, with so many of us working from home. Splunk is here to help you maintain visibility, compliance, and productivity as you move to the cloud and transform your SOC. Introduced this year, Splunk Security Cloud provides your team with advanced analytics, automated operations, and integrated intelligence, combined with an unparalleled partner ecosystem to help you deliver key outcomes for security, all from the cloud. Let's take a closer look at the analytics capabilities. We're thrilled to announce Enterprise Security 7.0. You may have noticed that our UX is quite different. We introduced dark mode based on feedback we heard from many of you. But that's not all. 7.0 is packed with capabilities to give security teams insights to dive faster into detection and response. The new exec summary and security operations dashboards provide leaders with metrics on the overall health of their security program. We continue to evolve cloud security monitoring dashboards so that you can monitor hybrid and multi-cloud infra from one centralized location. Many of you run workloads on Azure and GCP or AWS. We found this holistic view to be crucial. And for the first time, automated real-time content updates in the product empower teams to stay current with the latest detection techniques from Splunk Threat Research Team. As we see new attacks emerging in the wild, we build content and deliver it rapidly. But what better way to get a feel for 7.0 than with a demo? For that, I want to bring up my colleague Patrick Coughlin, head of our intelligence platform and former CEO of Truestar. Let's check it out in action. Take it away, Patrick.
Thanks, Jane. Enterprise Security 7.0 now includes the Executive Summary Dashboard with key metrics like mean time to triage to measure the time between when a notable event fires and when it's assigned. And mean time to resolution measures the time between when a notable event fires and when it's closed or resolved. Next, in the Notables section, you'll see insights about the number of notables that fire in your environment, and more importantly, what might have gone untriaged. For risk, Splunk Enterprise Security now includes risk-based alerting, where customers are reducing noise by using risk notables alongside your traditional notables. The new Security Operations Dashboard provides deeper analytics on analyst workload, notable assignment, and notable event disposition. Assigned notables over time lets you focus on what gets assigned and what does not. And notables in end state lets you see how much your team is able to close out. Finally, you can see a breakdown of individual analyst close rates in your selected time frame as well. We also introduced a new dispositions feature of Incident Review in the last release, which allows you to record whether a notable event was a true positive, a benign positive, or a false positive. In ES 7.0, you can now report on this data over time and get a deep dive into the correlation rule sources that contribute to each of the default disposition types. With visibility into these key security metrics, you can track how your security operations improve over time and drive better outcomes. And now, with in-product content updates in enterprise security, you can get the latest security content from the Splunk Threat Research Team as soon as it's available with one click. Back to you, Jane.
Thanks, Patrick. Wasn't that awesome? And the great news, all these capabilities are available to customers both on-prem and in the cloud. If you'd like to learn more, you can attend this breakout session to get a deep dive. Earlier this year, we announced the acquisition of Truestar, a cloud-native threat intelligence platform. Integrating multiple sources of threat intelligence directly into Splunk Enterprise and SOAR is a game changer, truly speeding up time to detect and respond. To tell you a bit more about the platform, I want to welcome Patrick back. Patrick, over to you.
Thanks, Jane. We're so happy to be here at such an exciting time for Splunk security. I've worked as a practitioner in counterterrorism and cyber defense in my career, and no matter what the mission was, there was always a fundamental challenge with intelligence. There are just too many disparate sources. They all have data in different structures and in different formats. There's different types of context and different levels of signal to noise. To leverage intelligence in detection and response, enterprise security and CTI teams have had to rely on tedious, time-consuming collection, data cleaning, and manual curation techniques, copying and pasting signatures and context across dozens of tabs and portals. But over the last 7 years, we built a solution that customers across all industries are using to integrate and automate intelligence into every stage of the incident response process and across an ecosystem of teams, tools, peers, and partners. Today, we're excited to announce Truestar is now Splunk Intelligence Management. We are laser focused on reducing and removing those manual cycles associated with integrating intelligence into detection and response. We're bringing a rapidly growing intelligence marketplace that has all types of open, commercial, and community intelligence sources, as well as our no-code Intel workflow capability that allows users to create complex curation pipelines without ever having to worry about writing or maintaining scripts. Our Unified Intelligence API delivers the insights directly into your Splunk security products and any other tools that are running in your SOC stack, all in the service of unlocking the value of intelligence for automation. All of this is made possible by the innovation in enclaves. Enclaves are the dynamic, cloud-based cyber intelligence repositories that are at the core of Splunk Intelligence Management. Customers like LogMeIn and Box use enclaves today to operationalize enrichment from third-party sources, as well as their own internal historical event and case data across their SIEM and SOAR tools, reporting double-digit % improvements in both MTTD and MTTR. Enclaves have also unlocked the value of intelligence sharing for enterprises, as well as intel sharing communities like ISACs and ISAOs. My favorite example is in my home city, where the city of Los Angeles uses enclaves to automatically share their notable events directly from Splunk Enterprise Security with other private and public sector SOCs in Los Angeles, and then to other cities around the US. Now, with some acquisitions, there's a lot of talk as customers are told to wait and see. But we've worked really hard to make sure that we have market-leading integrations across all Splunk products today. And in the coming months, we'll be migrating our user interface into Splunk Mission Control for an even more streamlined user experience with Splunk Security. But let me bring this to life for you with an example of how curated intelligence helps accelerate automation today. Let's start with setting up an Intel workflow. You simply select the inputs from your premium, open source, or community intelligence sources. You can choose the weights for each to specify Intel source influence over the final normalized priority score. You select your transformations. Some sources or indicators or attributes are more important for some workflows than others. Choose one or multiple configured safe list libraries to ensure that indicators containing specific terms or phrases are removed. And then select the destination for your transformed data. You can choose a cloud-based enclave or integrate directly with a Splunk product like Enterprise Security and hit Create to publish to production. When we pan to Enterprise Security, you will see notable events generated based on the curation criteria you defined. If we double-click on one of these notables, you will see that the critical intelligence context flows through to the notable event. We even have deep links back to the original source reporting if you want to see the original report. Finally, the scores from these different sources have been normalized to a single score based on your defined weights to automatically update the urgency score for the notable. Before, this kind of automation would have required writing multiple scripts with hundreds of lines of code on top of complex ETL infrastructure. But now it takes just a few clicks to put your intelligence to work for you, immediately improving your mean time to detection and accelerating your mean time to resolution. If you want to see more examples of how we're already leveraging integrated intelligence across the Splunk portfolio, come see a demo over at the App Showcase or check out the session catalog to view our breakout sessions. Getting the most visibility and the best intelligence is one challenge. How to quickly assess and respond is another. Fortunately, Splunk can help across people, products, and processes. To learn how, I'd like to introduce an industry veteran, Ryan Kovar, to tell us what his team has been up to. Over to you, Ryan.
Thanks, Patrick. You're absolutely right. The security teams need holistic visibility in order to respond quickly. And with the recent attacks of SolarWinds, Colonial Pipeline, Hafnium, Kaseya,
It's Kaseya.
Kaseya, and so many more, we've realized that many security teams struggle to find the right information at the right time to respond appropriately. So how do you get more visibility? As Jane and Patrick mentioned earlier, Splunk Enterprise Security provides security monitoring and analytics, while Splunk Intelligence Management can help security teams minimize noise by integrating threat intelligence feeds into their workflows. But security teams also need the contextual analysis of the adversary behind the attack, when it happened, how it happened, and ways to quickly assess the situation and the impact. And last, but certainly not least, Security teams need to have access to actionable techniques to prevent, detect, and respond to the threat in a timely manner. Not only today, but tomorrow too. That's why we're excited to introduce Surge by Splunk, a team of Splunk security experts, security researchers, former journalists, and even a CISO who worked on a presidential campaign, who are all dedicated to researching, responding, and educating on the threats that impact the world. I like to think we are bringing a little bit of the blue-collar work ethic to the blue team toolbox. Surge is your partner during high-profile security incidents. In the face of new cyber attacks like Kaseya or SolarWinds, Surge can empower blue teams by providing contextual awareness to the attack through our rapid response blogs. We help you understand who is behind the attack, what their techniques are, and how they are implementing their attacks. We'll also show you how to apply our trusted security research in your response workflow so that you can quickly identify exploits and act on them. Customers can perform an initial assessment whether or not they are impacted by leveraging our rapid response blocks. We also know that security teams often do not have the bandwidth to create detections and playbooks quickly, which is why Splunk is here to help you accelerate your mean time to resolution with curated in-product security content, such as use cases, detections, and playbooks. First, analysts can access in-product SPL detection searches and analytics stories via the Splunk Enterprise Security Interface under the tab Use Case Library. This area will allow analysts to view a comprehensive list of use cases, like analytics stories, and the tested detections that are available for each specific use case. Analysts can then decide which detections they want to use to provide greater visibility into their own environment. Next, analysts can leverage in-product content in Splunk Store by going to the Playbooks tab. You can get the latest available playbooks through our community portal by fetching updates on the Splunk Store interface. Additionally, workbooks are in-product guides that provide analysts with step-by-step guidance on how to investigate or respond to an alert. Overall, you can strengthen defenses by leveraging our team's security research, tactical guidance, and in-product security content to detect, investigate, and respond to the latest threats with confidence. Okay, so how does this all work behind the scenes? First, the Surge team performs an internal review of breaking news events, like CISA alerts, to determine if this specific incident warrants a rapid response from Splunk. If an incident is something we think Splunk can help with, and there are enough customers in the world that are impacted, we'd immediately start gathering information on the incident. Then the Surge team will publish a blog that provides contextual analysis with the technical guidance on immediate first steps as soon as possible. This rapid response blog will be shared immediately with customers, partners, and those who have signed up for Surge alerts via our website. Splunk customer success, account, and partner teams will also reach out to make sure that our rapid response guide gets into the hands of our customers as soon as possible. If you would like more support from our Splunk teams, make sure you reach out to your Splunk representative. And lastly, depending on the severity of the incident, Splunk will provide additional tested detections and out-of-the-box playbooks for customers in the days after the initial rapid response guide. These detections will provide customers another way to ensure they have visibility across their environment. And playbooks will provide customers a way to automate manual tasks related to resolving the incident. We hope the efforts of Surge will help you prevent and de-escalate security incidents. If you would like to get alerts on the next high-profile incident and technical guidance on how you can prevent, detect, and respond quickly, you may sign up for alerts on our website. All of our latest research content is available on that page. Our larger research projects will also be released every quarter. Look out for them all on splunk.com/surge. And if you want to take advantage of new security content that is built into our products, you can just update your use case library in enterprise security. Or for new, out-of-the-box playbooks, click the Playbooks tab within Splunk Store to find playbooks for your specific use case. And don't forget to check out the following breakout sessions for more security research and guidance. Jane, back over to you.
Thanks, Ryan. I just love how we're leveraging products, people, and processes to improve customer outcomes. Let's hear from a customer on how they were able to improve their security visibility by consolidating their data into Splunk. Takeda Pharmaceuticals recently went through a significant digital transformation and did just that. Let's roll the video and hear their story.
My name's Brent Ball, and I am the Global Head of Security Intelligence, Analytics, and Response at Takeda. Takeda is a global, values-based, R&D-driven biopharmaceutical leader. Takeda is very patient-focused. As a result, I'm motivated to deliver the absolute best outcome and to make sure that my team is delivering the very best outcome for those patients as well. Cybersecurity has really become very paramount. It's a board-level conversation these days. We recognize that as an organization, we were evolving and growing very rapidly. And by the time that we implemented technologies, they were already out of date. So by leveraging the cloud, we were able to build out our capabilities more rapidly. With the pandemic, we did notice a significant increase in the number of cyber attacks that were targeting various pharmaceutical organizations, Takeda included. We were ready to react to those threats. We were able to leverage information to understand very quickly where those attacks were originating from and respond to them proactively. We are using the information in Splunk and coupling that data with our threat intelligence platforms to understand whether we have existing threats within our environment, evolving threats that could affect our organization, or whether new trends in industry are not impacting our organization. I believe that Splunk is allowing us to better serve our patients by leveraging the information that we're being entrusted with as an organization and generating the absolute best outcomes.
Wow, what a powerful mission. And such a great accomplishment that Takeda was able to securely transform their operations and move from being reactive to proactive. Now let's shift gears and look at how we can help you sort through the noise, make decisions, and take action faster. Many security teams are spending too much time investigating low-value alerts and not enough fighting real threats. Splunk has been delivering advanced security analytics for years, and now, with risk-based alerting, released in enterprise security last year, we've changed how many of our customers think about alerts and fundamentally changed the way they manage their SOC. Risk-based alerting aligns alerts to business risk, high-risk users and systems, and connects alerts together to show the pattern of an attack over time. It's not just fewer alerts, it's higher quality alerts, so you can investigate and remediate faster. One customer shared that RBA reduced the time to investigate an attack from several hours down to just minutes. It's amazing. Let's see RBA in action. Patrick, over to you.
Thanks, Jane. First, you'll notice a new and improved incident review dashboard with new visualizations that allow you to visualize the number of notable events by urgency, status, owner, and security domain. Now you have a fresh and easy way to filter your notable events, so you can efficiently get the most relevant information. And you can save those filters, so you can quickly jump back to what you're working on in enterprise security. We've added enhanced capabilities for risk-based alerting within the incident review dashboard. Let's take a closer look at one of our RBA notables. You can see a lot of context on exactly what has happened during this attack sequence. We can see the rules that fired against this account, as well as the attacks being mapped against MITRE tactics and techniques. We also see the total risk score and a summary of all the risk rule detections that have been aggregated into this notable event. With just a single click, you'll see a new RBA event timeline visualization that gives you a bird's eye view of all the contributing risk events. This provides an analyst with a more comprehensive view of the overall activities associated with a threat actor. By leveraging the power of RBA, activities that relate to an overall attack can be connected and reported on in a single event. This means that an analyst can respond to an attack associated with the threat source as opposed to individual events. This will greatly reduce the mean time to detect and also shorten the mean time to resolution metrics for your SOC.
Thanks, Patrick. Risk-based analytics is an absolute game changer. Another way to prioritize and focus on the most critical threats is through behavioral analytics, part of Enterprise Security Cloud, available in preview for select customers. This will deliver advanced detection models for behavioral analytics on streaming data during ingest, so detection's real time. This augments traditional search-based correlation to accelerate mean time to detect. So that's how our security analytics can help you reduce event volume and prioritize alerts to reduce time to detect. Check out these breakout sessions if you want to learn more. Now that we've shown how Splunk can help isolate the signal from the noise, how do we take action and respond to alerts in the fastest, most efficient way possible? Enter automation. Splunk SOAR, formerly known as Splunk Phantom, automates response to alerts and other manual security tasks. This eliminates analyst grunt work and helps you resolve security incidents in record time. The volume of alerts and security tasks in most SOCs is just too massive for teams to process manually. The only path forward is automation. So let's automate alert triage, automate investigations, and automate response to maximize the productivity, efficiency, and speed of your team. Let's start with alert triage. With Splunk SOAR automation playbooks, alert response can take mere seconds per incident, instead of minutes or hours if you respond manually. This lets you process the vast majority of alerts with limited to no human interaction. The same applies to manual investigation and manual response work. Analysts are sick of performing the same set of manual repetitive tasks. It's inefficient and causes burnout. So let's automate your investigations and your response tasks. And we'll do it in seconds. McGraw-Hill, an education company, used Splunk SOAR to automate manual tasks that should have taken 22 months to perform and got the work done in 6 months. This means a lower average time to investigate and respond to attacks, and it frees up time for analysts to focus on more strategic objectives. Despite all these great benefits, the Splunk SOAR product team still ask themselves the question, how can we make automation more accessible for our customers? And how can we make it even easier to deploy and implement? That's why we introduced Splunk SOAR Cloud this past June. With a cloud-delivered technology, you're going to benefit from more efficient installation, configuration, and scaling of your SOAR technology. Cloud software updates are continuous and automatic. There's no need for manual updates. So with Splunk SOAR Cloud, customers can spend more time protecting their organization and less time on infrastructure management. In fact, customers can choose which deployment method is best suits the needs of their business, cloud or on-prem. The team also asked the question, how can we make automation even easier to use and easier to scale across your organization? SOAR technology is still new for a lot of SOCs out there, and getting used to a new technology can take time. So how can we lower the barrier to entry for less technical users, making it so that anyone on the team can automate? In August, we announced the availability of our updated Splunk SOAR Visual Playbook Editor. This new version makes it easier than ever to create, edit, implement, and scale automated playbooks. For those of you familiar with Splunk SOAR, you know we've had Visual Playbook Editor for years. So what makes this different? First, we drastically simplified the interface to allow analysts to build playbooks faster. We also made playbook building easier for less code-savvy users by embedding more customized functionality directly into the UI. And finally, we created a feature called Input Playbooks that help you automate simple security tasks and then leverage them as part of a larger investigation for a more modular approach to playbooks. But instead of me talking about it, let's see it in action. Patrick, take it away.
Thanks, Jane. Let's jump into the new Visual Playbook Editor to create a playbook to automate a common security task. In this case, a URL reputation check. So I'll choose the input playbook that will take me to my editing canvas. And I'll enter my input variable and data type, URLs. I'll then create a new action for our playbook by dragging and dropping a function block. I tell SOAR that I want to do a URL reputation check, and that shows me the different tools available that can perform that reputation lookup. I'll choose VirusTotal, since that tool is familiar to everyone. And my playbook input will be request URL. And then name my action VirusTotal URL reputation check. Now I'll create a filter block by using a new keyboard shortcut, Command B for block, and Command 5, which is the 5th option in this row. The filter is a funnel shape, which clearly delineates the filter from other action blocks. So we then tell the filter that 3 or more positive hits means it's a bad URL. And less than 3 means it's unknown. Once VirusTotal does that analysis and provides a result, we tell the Playbook to add a comment in our investigation so the analyst can see the result of the automation. For instance, malicious URLs were found. To finish, we connect to the end block, and this is where we can add output parameters that let us plug the simple Playbook into other, more complex investigations. For instance, it could be leveraged in a phishing response playbook like this, or even an endpoint malware response or a ransomware investigation. This modular approach to playbook building is the future, and it lets you reuse more of your playbooks across use cases, helping you scale automation faster across your security operations center. And we're not stopping here. With Splunk Intelligence Management, we'll continue to make these enrichment lookups even easier with integrated intelligence, making Splunk SOAR the premier automation solution for your SOC. Jane, where can folks learn more?
Thanks again, Patrick. To learn more about Splunk SOAR, check out these sessions. Now let's explore how Splunk can help you streamline disparate tools and workflows. To ensure that you can investigate and respond to threats efficiently and quickly, your security tools need to work seamlessly together. Splunkbase, our marketplace for all solutions that integrate with Splunk, makes it so much easier to integrate with all the tools you use today. We offer 2,400 technology integrations in Splunkbase. These solutions provide value over and above what each tool can provide independently. Today, we'd like to introduce 3 new solutions that we are really excited about. Mandiant integrates with Splunk to give security teams a clear view on how effective their control points and analytics platforms are in identifying and responding to real-world attacks. Earlier this year, we announced our partnership with Zscaler for a zero-trust approach to security for the modern cloud-first enterprise. And DTEX provides rich telemetry on user behavior to Splunk, helping security teams identify high-risk insider threats. Let's take a moment to dig a bit deeper on these powerful integrations. You heard Kevin Mandia discuss how his team first identified the SolarWinds attack. As new attacks emerge in regions across the world, Mandiant incident responders often see them first. As a security team, can you feel confident your security tools are up to date and configured to prevent these new attacks? Can you feel confident data from your security tools is sent into your SIEM and that an alert will fire so your teams can respond quickly? And as new threat actors come onto the scene, are you ready to respond? Think about it. Customers can use our integration with Mandiant Security Validation to test the efficacy of their control points to make sure they are configured to block advanced attacks, and check that the output of the events that were generated by the control points are being sent into Splunk and triggering an alert. Our partnership with Mandiant goes even deeper to provide Splunk customers a freemium threat intelligence feed that is backed by Mandiant research to improve detection in enterprise security, giving customers an in-depth information about the actors and the malware they use. Splunk and Zscaler together deliver a zero-trust approach to security. With Zscaler, users and entities are given a secure, direct, authenticated connection to the applications they need. Metadata about connection activity is ingested directly into Splunk over a new cloud-to-cloud API. Zscaler built this option right into their console. It's so easy. This gives your team visibility into rich telemetry and dynamic integrated risk scoring across all access controls. And finally, API-level integration with Splunk SOAR enables response actions with Zscaler to quickly mitigate threats. DTEX provides Splunk with enriched telemetry and analytics on endpoint user behavior, enabling real-time detection and accelerating response times. This is even more important now that many employees are working from home. Integration with Splunk SOAR enables response actions to quickly mitigate threats. For example, to take risky users off the network. Together, Splunk and DTEX deliver the ability to quickly identify and respond to insider threats. Now let's discuss how Splunk SOAR interfaces with these technology partners to automatically investigate and respond to security incidents. You do it through the unsung hero in SOAR, the O in that acronym, Security Orchestration. When your security team investigates or responds to an incident, it uses many different tools from different vendors, and each one has a different part to play. Splunk SOAR integrates with all of those tools through apps. Using apps, Splunk SOAR can direct these tools to perform actions in a particular sequence. For instance, telling your Cisco firewall to block an IP, or telling your CrowdStrike endpoint security to quarantine an endpoint. Splunk SOAR is allowing the security team to coordinate across it all. I like to think of it as a symphony orchestra. If all of those third-party tools are different instruments of a symphony orchestra, Splunk SOAR is your conductor, making sure that every instrument is in sync and playing on time. Splunk SOAR supports over 350 apps that can perform more than 2,100 different actions, and that number continues to grow every day. So what's new with Splunk SOAR apps? We're happy to announce a redesigned Splunk SOAR app editor, which delivers a new way to edit and test existing apps and create entirely new apps. End-to-end app development is all contained within the Splunk SOAR UI. But we didn't stop there. We're excited to announce that Splunk SOAR apps are now available on Splunkbase, amongst our extensive ecosystem of partner and community-built technical integrations. This provides you with a one-stop shop to extend the power of SOAR. Here's where to go if you're interested in learning more about the apps available for Splunk SOAR. And now to summarize, Splunk is focused on helping you improve the SOC metrics that matter, MTTD and MTTR. We're privileged to be your trusted partner for security operations. We're modernizing your SOC with Splunk Security Cloud, providing your team with advanced analytics, automated operations, and integrated intelligence combined with an unparalleled ecosystem to help you deliver meaningful outcomes for security, all from the cloud. You can have confidence building your security operations practice around Splunk. Why? We're the gold standard of security operations. And you don't have to just take our word for it. Over 90 of the Fortune 100 use Splunk. We're a leader in the Gartner MQ for SIEM for the 8th time, and a leader in the SIEM market share for the 3rd time, and a leader in the latest Forrester Wave for security analytics platforms. While we're very proud of these accomplishments, we are even more proud of this next one. California Polytechnic University, or Cal Poly, not only uses Splunk to secure their own campus and operations, they're actually training the security professionals of tomorrow using Splunk. Let's hear their story.
We were formed in 1901 here in San Luis Obispo, and Learn by Doing has been part of the core philosophy of Cal Poly since day one. We have a student-enabled security operations center. The students are the ones that are taking care of that first tier 1 incident response.
That innovation of what our students are designing and building and putting in dashboards and utilizing, it's really amazing.
What really interests me in terms of SOC work here is defending against the malicious attackers, the red team, blue team dynamic, figuring out what the possible exploits or vulnerabilities are going to be, and then determining our response or defense to that.
At Cal Poly, we've been on the cloud journey since about 2016. We knew that the data center with its fixed racks and devices in those racks just wasn't flexible enough for us. So we've actually been working on moving our key business applications to the cloud. Flexibility has been key to our success. Splunk Cloud helps us tie and correlate the data from very disparate data sources. And it's been working really well. We have greater insight, we're more flexible in what we can do.
What we were able to do is really expand our portfolio of security for the university as a result and really tie it to the cloud. So the security architecture, Splunk is critical to us to understand where our data is and when it's moving, where it's going, and to stop it if it's not supposed to be. So that's where one of the areas where we've really benefited. Universities are notorious for being attacked by phishing attacks. And so dashboards becomes very critical. Our students design the dashboards that we're using today.
By seeing how common it is that we get these attacks and that we get these malicious actors trying to get into our network or trying to phish and gain access to our account, the more I see these attempts, the more I see the importance of cybersecurity and protecting our data.
Data is instrumental in our day-to-day business of security. If we didn't have that visibility that Splunk provides us on a daily basis, we would just be flying blind.
What excites me the most about the Security Operations Center is the game of cat and mouse that we play. Every day, we address incidents that could lead to people losing a lot of their data to malicious threat actors. And so I feel like the work we do at the Security Operations Center is essentially improving the lives of users all over campus.
I know we're protecting the university at a level that we've never had before. I know that the number of threats against the university are higher and greater than ever before. And so keeping this place safe, that's a thrill for me. That just gets me going.
This is just a small portion of the awesome things students and faculty at Cal Poly are doing with Splunk. Be sure to check out their breakout session for a detailed walkthrough of how they're able to automate key aspects of their incident response processes to provide around-the-clock coverage. And what a stellar way to capstone everything we've talked about today. On behalf of the entire Splunk team working to help you detect and respond to threats faster, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to visit our app showcase and explore any of the topics we covered here today in a breakout session. Have a wonderful remainder of the event.